Good morning.
Good morning.
Maryland is one of only 3 states that have a system that requires that the governor give final okay when the parole commission makes a unanimous decision by 2 commissioners that an inmate who is parole eligible as a lifer should be paroled. So we have a system, it's systematic, they've got their checks and balances, they do the assessment. Decision is not made by 1, but by 2, and it must be a unanimous decision. But only California and Wyoming join us with the kind of protocol we have with a sitting governor needing to say okay. And the governor has 180 days after he receives the recommendation to say okay, so he can take his time. This bill is not about the current governor, it's about a whole series of governors. It's a systemic problem that goes back for ages. It is a great budgetary cost for the state to house people who in many cases are so disabled, so chronically ill, and in some cases in need of hospice, that we're using the correctional budget not to rehabilitate anybody, but just to give sort of so-so health care to people who long ago were too old to be a danger to public safety. In fact, all of the scientific studies show that in the mid-30s, most people who've had a life of crime as youngsters begin to age out of it. But when that is compounded with the mental and physical health challenges that occur for people who are so elderly, so disabled, or without appropriate health care that they couldn't harm a fly, it really doesn't make sense that we utilize our scarce resources that way. Now, governors have also other kinds of discretion. While in Maryland, they have not been giving the okay to the unanimous decisions coming from the parole commission for these parole eligible lifers. What they do, and in the back room, out of public sight and with no public notice, is to commute for selected individuals their life sentence to a definite term of years, in which case then the governor is no longer needed by statute to do anything. So some of those people do get out under those circumstances. I have some photographs here, and I have a few copies if some members of the press would like one. I'll give you one. On the front are people who went into the system as teenagers. Many of them, you can see their names, their numbers, the number of years they have served. 54 years is the first thing I'm looking at. We are one of the remaining states refusing to stop giving a term of life to juveniles. And Miller v. Alabama, the U.S. Supreme Court in 2012 said that was cruel and unusual punishment. And the only reason when they gave that particular opinion that Maryland was not impacted by it is that our judges who sentence teens to life without parole do so with judicial discretion. In states where it was a mandatory sentence, they all are out because there is no such situation still occurring. On the back side, I have photographs of just a few, about 33 of the 2,700 individuals still in Hagerstown, some in their 80s and 90s, serving life, parole eligible